People are always aware of when famous people are dating, but Tiffany Trump has always kept hers a secret. Until now. For many years, Tiffany Trump stayed out of the public eye so that her famous family could take center stage. However, Tiffany is now finally talking about her husband, Michael Boulos, which has made a lot of people very happy. Even people who don't believe in ghosts might be surprised by news of secret problems and family drama. So why does she want to tell her story now? What shocking facts is she about to lay bare? Let's explore Tiffany Trump's world. Tiffany's life has never been at all like that of her famous brothers. She was born during a time of Trump-level scandals, but she spent most of her youth away from the madness in the news. The Trump children grew up in New York City and their dad's real estate business. Tiffany, on the other hand, lived a much quieter life in sunny Los Angeles. As a kid, she didn't have a lot of drama because her mom, Marla Maples, worked hard to protect her from the intense pressure of being a Trump. Tiffany didn't spend much time with her dad compared to her brothers, who grew up in boardrooms and skyscrapers. She mostly saw her dad on holidays and at other special family events. But the Trump name followed her everywhere, even when she wasn't in the news. Like her dad, she went to top schools and graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. Tiffany followed her interests in a way that her brothers, who were more interested in business, didn't. She released a pop song and did an internship at Vogue to try her hand at fashion. She also took some time to figure out what she really wanted. She was mostly unknown until 2016, when her dad's bid for president made her famous. Even back then, she didn't make many public appearances and stayed out of the media spotlight. People often called her the Forgotten Trump, even though she never claimed it. It was just a name that people often used to describe her. Tiffany went to law school at Georgetown University without drawing attention to herself. While her brothers became famous, Tiffany lived her life away from the photographers. This is why her latest choice to speak out is so shocking. Tiffany has always kept her personal life private, but now she's talking about her marriage to Michael Boulos. Tiffany is getting more attention now that she is married to a rich businessman with ties to Nigeria and Lebanon. Her private life was once off limits, but now it's all the rage. This sets the stage for news that even Trump fans who follow him closely didn't see coming. There was one important event that set everything in motion. During a trip to Greece in the summer of 2018, Tiffany Trump's life took a strange turn. She met Michael Boulos in the clear waters and busy beach clubs of Mykonos. He is a young businessman from a very rich Lebanese family with strong business ties in Nigeria. They met in Lindsay Lohan's fancy bar where two people from very different backgrounds were having a great time. It looked like something out of a romantic comedy. There were sparks, and Tiffany was thrust into a new chapter that would bring her even more into the public eye. Michael's and Tiffany's past couldn't have been more different. Michael was born in Lebanon and raised in Nigeria. He is from the powerful Boulos family, whose multi-billion-dollar business company spans Africa and the Middle East. Their businesses include selling, distributing, and making power bikes. Michael has a unique view on business and life because of this. When Michael and Tiffany met, he was already making waves as a director in the businesses his family owned. The media quickly picked up on every juicy detail of their surprising relationship and wrote about it in great detail. There were people who thought it was just a short-lived summer romance, and people who thought it could really last between a Lebanese-Nigerian wealthy heir and the daughter of a former U.S. president. Even though Michael's family is known for having traditional values and being more quiet, they didn't mind that the Trump family had a big-name image. On one hand, there was Donald Trump, who was known for being bold and often causing problems. Michael's family, on the other hand, made them feel more private, which made their relationship even more interesting. Many people at first didn't think the union would last. People were surprised by Michael's wealth and status, and some wondered if the relationship was more about ease than love. But Tiffany's close friends claimed that she really did feel that way about Michael. His fancy lifestyle did make him more appealing, but Tiffany seemed to really like his charm and class. Still, there were some hard times in their love story. The problems that came up were not just cultural ones, they were also family problems. As their relationship grew, they had to deal with the extra stress of Donald Trump's political world, where anything could make the news and change people's minds. Even with all the noise, Tiffany seemed to be in love with Michael's warm and worldly personality. Some people thought their relationship was unlikely, but it's clear that this love story was anything but normal. The world of the Boulos family is very different from the high-stakes public impact of Trump. But Tiffany and Michael were eager to make their own story, even though the media attention and problems that came with it were tough. From hot summers in Greece to cozy family get-togethers, the couple showed that they were serious about going against what people thought they would do. It became clear that this wasn't just a summer fling as rumors about their future spread. People were interested in what would happen next between Tiffany and Michael, because their relationship was getting better. The wedding that almost didn't take place. Their wedding was wonderful, like a story from today. The wedding of Tiffany and Michael took place at her father's fancy Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach, Florida in 2022. It was an absolutely amazing event. Everything was carefully thought out, from the beautiful flower arrangements to Tiffany's stunning dress by the famous Lebanese designer Elie Saab. A day when two families from very different places got together showed how different cultures can work together in the classiest way possible. There was a wedding cake with 8 levels, live music, and only 250 people on the guest list. Ivanka Trump was one of Tiffany's bridesmaids, and her brothers were also there. But bad luck struck just days before the big day. Hurricane Nicole hit the Atlantic side of Florida hard, making a mess of everything. Staff at Mar-a-Lago were told to leave as the storm got closer. The property was boarded up and travel plans were thrown off. Suddenly, Tiffany's dream wedding was about to be called off. Sources close to her say she was almost panicking because she might have to delay her big day. They were lucky, though. There wasn't much damage from the hurricane, and the wedding went off as expected. Donald Trump walked Tiffany down the aisle on her wedding day, which was a big day. That moment was picture perfect, a mix of love and the weight of the Trump family history. Even though the storm outside was over, people who knew the couple couldn't help but wonder if there were other problems going on behind the scenes. When two well-known families get married, like the Trumps and the Bouloses, there are bound to be problems. People started to wonder if they were having a hard time with family standards. Differences in culture? Or maybe something even more private? Tiffany has never been one to talk about her personal life, but now she's ready to tell her side of the story. People are very interested in her because she spoke out. The forgotten Trump used to be quiet, but now she seems ready to talk about her experiences. There is a hard-to-ignore truth behind Tiffany Trump and Michael Boulos' friendship that isn't pretty. Relationship experts say that their marriage is under a lot more stress than most new marriages are. Tiffany and Michael are dealing with a tough situation because they come from two strong families with strong standards. The constant attention that comes with the Trump name makes things even more difficult. Some red flags and problems the couple might face have been raised by Susan Trombetti, CEO of Exclusive Matchmaking and a well-known matchmaker. Trombetti thinks that the biggest problem they might face is meeting the demands of their family. Tiffany and Michael are both from places where image and status are very important. Being under so much pressure can be hard. They're both from billionaire families, and there's this unspoken rule that they have to marry someone appropriate, or someone who fits the mold, Trombetti said. For Tiffany, this means having the Trump name, which is linked to politics and is always being watched by the media. At the same time, Michael's family has been much less public, even though they are just as important. This has made their lives even more different. Experts also point out how special Tiffany is in her family. Her older, more politically active brothers have often made her feel less important. She used to like staying out of the spotlight, but now that she's married to Michael, she's right back in it. The Trump family, especially her father, is known for keeping up a good public image. Now that Tiffany is married, everyone will be watching everything she does even more closely. Trombetti said, "Tiffany has always seemed like the outsider in her family. That's a lot to handle, especially if you don't like being the center of attention." The couple comes from very different cultures, which makes things even more complicated. Tiffany was born and raised in the United States. She saw her father's crazy personality through the lens of American politics and the media. Michael, on the other hand, lived most of his time in Nigeria. His family's Lebanese roots and business empire across Africa had a big impact on him. These differences can make a friendship stronger, but they can also make things harder. Trumbetti and other experts say that Michael's family may have different ideas about what it means to be married, what is important, and how someone should act in public. It might be hard to get used to these differences, especially since the Trump family is always under a lot of public scrutiny. Besides all of this, Tiffany and Michael are very famous, so the media is always talking about them. It's impossible to avoid making news with every move, choice, and mistake. It's hard for a pair trying to build a life together to get rid of that kind of pressure. Even with all of these problems, Tiffany and Michael's unique marriage will only be seen through time. One thing is for sure, people will continue to be interested in their trip, and everyone is waiting to see how their story develops. The world sees and thinks about everything Tiffany and Michael do. Susan Trumbetti, a relationship expert, says that this kind of steady scrutiny can test any relationship, but especially one that is so new like theirs. People are always watching for any sign of trouble when your name is linked to Trump, Trumbetti said. For Tiffany and Michael, it means keeping their personal lives in check while putting on a clean, united front for the world. Minor differences could easily get out of hand, turning a small problem into a full-on scandal in the news. Tiffany may have decided to speak out recently as a way to deal with these pressures and show the world a much more complicated side of her life than the glossy wedding pictures showed. The things she said make it sound like things might not be as great as they seem behind the scenes. Being a Trump has a lot of great benefits, but it also has a lot of bad things that come with it. Tiffany's family name has always been like a double-edged sword. It has opened up doors for her but also made things harder. Tiffany Trump has spent most of her life away from the spotlight, unlike her more famous brothers. She grew up in California, a long way from the media circus in New York, where her father worked. Donald Trump made a few trips to honor important events in her life, but she was mostly out of the intense spotlight that her brothers seemed to love. Tiffany had more time to find her place in the family because she lived farther away, but it also gave her more space. The people and the media came to think of her as the quiet Trump over the years. They saw her as a less well-known family member. During her father's presidential campaigns, that fight to fit in became very clear. Tiffany's siblings played important hands-on roles. Ivanka was a top advisor in the White House, and Don Jr. and Eric ran the family business and pushed Trump's political agenda from the front lines. She spoke at campaign events and stood on stage to show her support, but her presence seemed more symbolic than real. It was very different from her siblings, who were very important in building Trump's business and political success. This may have made Tiffany feel even more like she was on the edge. People who knew the family well say that she often felt like she had to prove her loyalty, which her brothers, who were deeply involved with Trump's world, didn't seem to feel. Tiffany has definitely been changed by having to deal with her difficult situation with her father and family. Her family name has opened doors for her, but it has also made her feel left out and like she needs to show her worth all the time. Marla Maples, Tiffany's mother, was determined to keep her daughter away from the chaos in Donald Trump's personal life, which makes headlines. Tiffany grew up in California and watched her dad's life from afar. Even though she tries to keep things low-key, Tiffany has had trouble becoming as well-known and accepted as her brothers. There's a chance that this fight influenced her decision to quietly make her own way, which included going to law school and working toward a job on her own. In this way, she seems to be able to show how valuable she is without the Trump name hanging over her. It is well known that Donald Trump loves Ivanka, who is often called his golden child, which adds to the tension. It has been made very clear that Ivanka is Donald's favorite, both in public and in private. This has caused an unsettling difference in the family's dynamic. That Tiffany is now married to Michael Boulos has brought her back into the public eye and made her more aware of the complicated things that come with having the Trump name. Right now, she's trying to find a balance between the family-focused and quiet world of the Boulos family and the loud and important business of the Trump family. Through her latest comments about her marriage, Tiffany has started to show how hard it has been for her to keep everything in check. She has probably felt this pressure growing up for a long time. Very wealthy people, powerful people, and influential people surrounded Michael Boulos as he grew up. Boulos Enterprises, the business empire that his family owns and runs, specializes in making things, selling, and distributing them. This company does business all over Africa and the Middle East. But the Trump family's real estate businesses are flashy and focused on New York. The Boulos family's success comes from foreign markets, especially Nigeria, where they have become a household name. When Tiffany married into the Boulos family, she joined a culture and history that were very different from her own. The Boulos family's strong Lebanese background is one of the things that makes them stand out. Michael Boulos's father, Masad Boulos, is known for being very humble, even though he has a lot of money. From Lebanon to Texas and then to Nigeria, his journey shows how a family can be deeply rooted in national pride and still be able to adapt to new situations. Michael Boulos's mother, Sarah Boulos, is also well known in Nigeria. A lot of people know her for her work to support the arts and arts education in the country. As a whole and as individuals, the Boulos family has built a name on wealth, community service, cultural pride, and doing business in an honest way. For example, Michael was raised in this setting, which gave him a unique mix of cultural and business skills that set him apart from Tiffany, who was raised in a totally American setting. In sharp opposition to the Trump family, who are well known for being opinionated, public, and often controversial, the Boulos family is known for being calm and collected. Because the Trump family got involved in politics in the United States, Tiffany Trump had to deal with a world full of partisanship, words that divided people, and constant media attention. In the case of Michael Boulos, marrying into the Trump family was like getting on a political roller coaster. One family is very interested in American politics and the media, while the other family likes to keep things calm and focused on business. Putting these two families' views next to each other has changed their relationship in a way that can't be avoided. Adding Michael's father, Masad Boulos, adds yet another level of complexity. Because he has so many contacts all over the Middle East, especially in the business and political circles of Lebanon, Masad's impact goes beyond business practices. 2009 was the year he tried to run for a seat in the Lebanon government, but he failed. Unlike Donald Trump, who is a very public politician, his network includes ties to well-known people like the politician Suleiman Frangieh of Lebanon. This shows that the family has a strong belief in traditional principles and focuses on business rather than politics. The Boulos family had to deal with the harsh media attention that comes with the Trump administration after Michael and Tiffany Boulos's wedding. Personal and political ties that the Boulos family had usually kept secret were suddenly looked at and at times turned political. This happened in a short amount of time. Masad Boulos needs to be involved in the 2024 presidential race more and more. Some say that Donald Trump's campaign has tried to use Masad's connections in the Arab American community to get support from people who are unhappy with the current government. People have seen Masad at Trump-related secret meetings and fundraising events. He is working with Arab American groups to sway key voters in states that are called swing states. There has been a time when the Boulos family didn't care about politics, but this move is different from that. People in Lebanon and Nigeria in particular have raised their eyes at it. Many people have said bad things about Donald Trump's comments about Africa and the Middle East in the past, so Masad's involvement with Trump's campaign should be seen as a touchy matter. Some people in the Arab American society worry that Masad's political views will make them less friendly with him. A lot of people in this group have said they don't agree with Trump's views on immigration and foreign policy. Some people say that Masad's new job is different from the values he had shown in the past. As Michael has watched his father get involved in politics, he has had to make changes in his own life and in politics. There are some unique problems for the young couple because of how the Boulos family's image is usually quiet, and the Trump family's image is very public and controversial in politics. Some political experts say that these changes could make the connection between Tiffany and Michael more difficult. Additionally, their marriage is made more difficult by the fact that they have to deal with the stresses of political conflict while also meeting the needs of their own children. These days, the Boulos family is getting more and more involved in politics and the public eye because the Trump campaign keeps going strong. Everything that is done here is closely watched, and every choice has importance. Tiffany and Michael still need to answer the question, how will they handle the expectations of two powerful families and the attention of a world that wants them to combine their very different families' traditions in a way that works for everyone? They were able to stay under the radar because they had a lot of money and power in Nigeria and the Middle East. So they didn't get involved in the high-stakes world of American politics very often. Michael Boulos, on the other hand, has become famous because he is now known to be somewhat of a political friend of Donald Trump. Some of President Trump's controversial policies, like calling African countries names and banning Muslims, are still fresh in the thoughts of many Arab Americans. Many people are turned off by Mossad's backing for Trump. Due to this unexpected family connection, Michael and Tiffany are having their own set of problems. Even though the Boulos family's business achievements are admired and respected around the world, Mossad's friendship with Trump has become more important than those achievements. Tiffany has to deal with the backlash and cultural sensitivity that come with being Michael's wife and Trump's daughter at the same time. Several of the couple's friends have said that these situations could put stress on their relationship. Michael is getting a lot of attention that he didn't expect because he is married to Trump and his father worked for Trump's campaign. He is now very close to the Trump family. Tiffany has to protect her family's political goals while also being sensitive to Michael's group's beliefs while everything is going on. Even with this problem, both Tiffany and Michael have shown that they are strong. Even though their actions don't always match up with what the headlines say, their culture differences are often seen as problems. In addition to mutual respect and common goals, it would show that they really care about each other. Tiffany feels better when Michael stays steady, and Michael admires her for being able to stand on her own twice. Their public responsibilities and their private time have been carefully balanced, and they have worked hard to do so. When they get together as a family, they support each other by sharing customs and working together to deal with the stresses that come with their situation. When the media criticizes Tiffany and Michael, they choose to rely on their relationship instead of giving in to the noise. The public's demands and their family's duties are putting a lot of stress on their lives, but they are able to move forward together because they are mature, which is clear from the way they act. When two wealthy people from very different backgrounds get married, like Tiffany Trump and Michael Boulos, they are going to face their own set of problems. However, this doesn't always mean that they can't have a happy marriage over time. It is important to remember that many things affect the outcome of any relationship, but especially one that is well known to the public. Some of these factors are respect for each other, having the same goals, good communication, and being able to handle outside stresses together. In Tiffany and Michael's eyes, it looks like they have built a relationship based on trust, respect, and understanding, even though they are still being closely watched. They have shown that they are strong in their relationship by balancing the demands of their personal relationship with the standards of their families, their political ties, and their cultural differences. Throughout its past, their relationship has had problems that got a lot of attention. The ability to grow and change together, especially when faced with new difficulties, is one of the most important things that determines whether or not a relationship will work. Tiffany has found solace in Michael, who has helped her deal with the challenges that come with their unique situation. Tiffany has talked about how hard it is for her to balance her personality with her role in two well-known families, and Michael has been a kind of rock for her. Tiffany decided to speak out and share her experiences, which shows that she is emotionally mature and wants her marriage to be real. This shows that she is ready to face problems head-on, which means she is ready to talk about her experiences. In the long run, being honest with each other may be a big step toward helping them handle the problems in their relationship. In the end, Tiffany and Michael seem committed to making their marriage work, even though their pasts are very different. With that commitment, they can work through problems together. What are your thoughts on the problems they're having now and the chances they have for the future?